Hello, everybody. Welcome to This Week in Innovation. On today's show, I got a chance to talk with Fang Cheng. She's founder and CEO of Linc, a conversational CX automation platform built for retail that is focused on conversation and commerce. Her self-described focus is to create extraordinary customer experiences through conversation that span the customer lifecycle to grow revenue, reduce support costs, and increase sales conversions. Give it a listen and let us know what you think. Hey, Fang, how you doing today?
Jeff, I'm doing great. It's such a pleasure to be here.
It's glad to have you. I think you're one of the first people we've interviewed actually from Silicon Valley, so it's nice to talk to some fellow Californian.
Oh, that's good to know. I feel certainly honored.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we start by having you introduce yourself and tell us about your company and the problem that you're trying to solve.
Absolutely. Again, just thanks so much for the opportunity to be here, to join this fast-growing podcast audience. My name is Fang Cheng. I'm the founder and CEO of Linc. I actually came from a pretty deep technology background. I tend to call myself really having a nerd inside. I actually had a PhD in quantitative field in particular. I co-founded a technology company previously, and that business to be acquired to Amazon. That's a little bit of background before my journey as entrepreneur to start. But in the past few years, I have been working with a team of fantastic technologists and product minds to build Linc. So what is Linc then? We're truly a next generation customer experience automation platform. We focus on primarily serving enterprise brands and with a solution that is one of a kind, giving large brands a powerful AI digital workforce that can be deployed onto any communication channels the brands like to serve or engage their customers. Now, this digital workforce truly functions as a first responder 24/7, always on, and delivers very effective services and knows the customer, and more importantly, engage them throughout the research before you buy journey to help convert into sales. So that now, if you think about the space we're in as a next generation customer experience automation platform, it's truly a exciting space. But what problem drives business to look into automation solutions for CX? I would say this problem statement itself over the past few years is an evolving target. It's actually become more and more important. When you look at any businesses that are serving everyday consumers, right? Retail space, brands and retailers are certainly at the center of it. Our industry is actually facing the biggest disruption, largely due to how consumer has evolved on both of their expectation to how they like to be served, the services quality, the experiences quality, to all the way to the everyday technologies enables them to access the information or communicate differently. And that is the fastest evolving space around consumer tech, etc. That becomes the driving force to force businesses to react to their modern consumer, that their customer, they try to win and their loyalty from. And if you look into all kinds of reports out there focusing on what are the loyalty drivers these days for B2C businesses, you will find that the role of product selection and even price placed in driving loyalty has been to some degree diminishing from being the number one driver. The number one driver for brands' loyalty is more and more shifting towards customer. And then now if you peel the onion of customer experiences, you immediately think about the browsing experience we all have when we go to a brand's website. And the browsing experience become a space that's largely commoditized. There's a very mature platforms and solutions helping large businesses or small businesses to be able to create a fairly good and polished browsing experience website. But the differentiating part of the opportunity piece really lays within how a brand interact with their customers, especially in the moments of need when their customer reaching out for help. This be helping me to buy, or I've had a transactional issue, helping me to resolve it. Those type of interactions are what the browsing experience is really weak on. And there's not really good incumbent solutions to solve it for, but it's so critical in terms of driving the brand's loyalty, right? In fact, like 61% of the consumers out there switch where they buy from, and based after a poor customer service. That is just how critical now the experience that businesses offers up when their customer reaching out for help is critical to the loyalty factor and to the brand's longevity in terms of success. Yeah. So in that very space, Linc is really about being the solution partner as well as a source of expertise for our clients in leveraging automation and self-service the right way to transform how they are serving their customers, with the goal to both tackle the operational efficiency side of the challenge in meeting the demand, meeting the volume that they need to support a customer, but also to deliver the best-in-class customer experience that actually increases sales conversion.
Can you maybe walk me through a customer example? Where would I, as a consumer, use your technology? Where would a retailer start the process with you? Maybe actually put flesh and bones to your story.
So take an example of the largest brand that we serve today, ranging from Levi's of the world, PacSun of the world, Carter's Oshkosh, to brands across beauty verticals, home goods, etc. Like, why did it come to Linc? Very often, this brand sees a challenge of supporting customers just through their people work. And especially throughout the pandemic crisis in the past couple of years, brands sees that what used to be considered maybe an innovation or very forward-looking initiative to explore the power of automation and AI, when it comes down to impacting customer experience, now it becomes table stake. In particular, many of the brands started out in recognizing, oh, wow, I have a massive demand surge that customer reaching out for help, partially due to the surge in e-commerce or digital transactions, but also partially due to the complexities involved in all kinds of service needs, research before you buy, post-purchase needs. The complexity also increases, driving a massive increase in consumers reaching out to the brand. And two, I'm observing how the consumers like to be interact with our brand. They're not just going out to the classic support channels, give you a 1-800 number, right? Maybe give you a web chat touch point. They will come to chat. They expect it to be 24/7. I don't have the luxury to offer 24/7 support through my people workforce because it's so cost prohibitive, right? And two is like customer even go beyond those conventional support channels. They go to social network, Instagram, DM, Facebook, et cetera, two-way text messages. Those are channels that my conventional way of staffing my people workforce behind those channels is just very clunky and cumbersome, and there is not a cost-effective way to do that, right? Now comes with the demand surge. On the other side, the supply side, what I mean supply by how can I effectively scale my people workforce so that I can staff the right amount of agents and train the agents properly so they can effectively deliver services to take care of my customers. That part becomes ever more challenging. If you are at the C-suite table, the boardroom, you will hear a lot about the staffing challenges, right? And the very fact of cost of hire or the ability to fill those roles in a timely manner, this has become a very challenging environment. When you have this kind of imbalance between demand and supply, it creates this perfect storm when it comes down to customer assistance. That very much drives the genesis of why brands are seeking out solutions to say, there is really no good solution if I just only bound my thinking in solving these challenges through my people workforce. Now, what is the future? The future really is that hybrid workforce, right? You have AI digital workforce and your people workforce. They work together to take care of the customer. Now, that's exactly the role Linc plays. We enable this brand to have their own branded AI digital workforce. Now, when they partner with us right away because of our solution, they can deploy a 24/7, always no break, highly trained workforce to any communication channels, such as their web chat, put an AI first responder onto my conventional live chat, enable us get onto two-way text messages, enable us get onto social. When a customer reaching out on social network, AI first responder earlier, right away authenticate that customer, knows who you are, has all the doubts of your dealing with our business, even beyond just the silo, the social channel, but actually on our e-commerce sites, post-purchase, other interactions you had with us, with the wealth of knowledge of our service policy, and even with the resolution capability, taking actions for you, getting things done for you, is equipped to this digital workforce and then get them to work. Now, this digital workforce essentially works 24/7, make the brands much more accessible to their customer base. And when customer do reach out, much more effective assisting customer, and only when necessary. This digital workforce knows how to bring the people workforce in, loop in the experts to assist the customer together. Now, for the end user, they're just dealing with brands. But all in sudden, because of digital workforce, brands become much more accessible to their customer, become much more helpful to their customer, and the expert resource delivered by the people workforce also become much more effective because the people agents now have a little helper, an effective AI first responder, gathers tons of information before looping them in, even when that's necessary. And when they come online with interactions with the end user, the customers, they're much more aware about who the customer is, their intent in driving the inquiry, so they can also be much more effective. So that together delivers ultimately the best customer experience, and do so in a way that's actually scalable from operational efficiency perspective for the business.
So that's really interesting. How many places along my customer journey, me as a consumer, pick whatever retailer you want, I see a ton of them on your website. How many places would I bump into one of your AI digital workforce people, or whatever
I like you already kind of give them quote unquote people.
Yeah,
it's funny,
it's a little scary just even thinking about digital workforce, to be honest with you. I call into a retailer from a call center, potentially a digital workforce unit or person or whatever. Help me with the term. So what am I calling your AI digital workforce? So just a unit, or what's the right term?
Yeah, it's a great question, honestly. We use digital workforce as the umbrella term because for an organization, when you think about this, you always see people resources, technology resources. But the reason we call it the digital workforce is really you think of it as a workforce consists of digital workers that specialize in helping customers on different services, just like your people workforce, right? So you may have my overall customer assistance team consists of experts in troubleshooting transactional issues for customer, but also consists of experts in assisting customer to buy. This could be stylists for apparel brands, fashion brands. This could be product experts for electronics, hard goods, right? This could be even design consultants for if you're in the interior decoration, home goods space. So we see people workforce consists of experts that specialize in helping customers on different things. If you're doing it right and running an effective people workforce, you want the different teams to work seamlessly together to help that customer, right? Imagine you come into Nordstrom, right? And if your needs change and evolves, one department store associate can refer to you to a different store associate peer to help you when your question evolves and to require that kind of expertise. Now, digital workforce very similarly mirrored to that. In our digital workforce, we offer digital workers that is very specialized in assisting customers in resolving complex order issues, right? Not just where's my order, return. There's exchanges. There's exchanges tied to your specific reasons for return. So very tailored recommendation. There's product question assistance, promo code issue resolution, like a very promo code does not work. The welcome offer doesn't work. I need to resolve it so that I can buy. So the digital workforce, you can imagine it literally consists of digital workers that specialize in each of this area. But they're not siloed point solutions. The user doesn't have to go through a menu selection to say which digital worker I want to talk to. Instead, it's one seamless conversational experience because the orchestration of the entire conversational interaction is done by internally, we call it arbiter. So think of there is a mastermind that orchestrates the entire digital workforce. So the different experts work in harmony to actually assist the customer. The end user should never even need to worry about where do I go to get help for my very needs at this very moment. And they just come in to interact through phone, through email, through chat, through social messaging, through text messages, whichever channel they prefer, right? The brand should be there. This digital workforce can interact with customers through any of these modern communication channels, but the brain of the digital workforce ultimately sits a channel agnostic layer. So regardless which channels the customer chooses to interact, the digital workforce actually understands your prior interactions, even those interactions happen in a different channel, right? The customer 360 benefits ultimately is part of this whole thing, as well as all the interaction experience is orchestrated completely in a channel agnostic way. And that's where the power start unleashes. A single customer coming in, they can start with a singular need, and their needs may evolve as the conversation goes. They topic switch. By the way, I also want to get the other things down, right? That's the value of having a single solution that truly scales across not only communication channel, but across use cases that have expert digital work different things.
Okay, so a couple of questions. Well, probably 100 questions, but let's start with two. I noticed you don't use the word BOT. Is there a reason? And digital worker, is there a reason for that?
Excellent question. It's definitely a conscious choice. The reason is that there are such mixed reviews or feeling towards bot, right? And it's a very familiar term for years already. It's a term that actually hyped very quickly when it's being re-energized through this whole conversational AI field emergence. But the early generation solutions to power the bots, there are also technology solutions and solutions that labels itself AI. But where AI is being used for by the early generation of solutions is very shallow. It's primarily used to train and the AI so that it can understand customers' intent, essentially identify the topics why you're reaching out for. And then from that point, there's not actually a lot of AI. Is what is there, the resolution capability, the response back to the users through the bot, delivered by the bot, are actually scripted dialogue flows, right? So there are many players in the space, and many of them are really large companies, incumbent solutions in the Service Cloud space, trying to add AI, trying to add automation into the mix because they do see the industry to reach the next level of productivity and performance results. Automation has to be part of it. But most of those solutions are essentially using off-the-shelf NLU capability being packaged into the solution to identify topic. From that point on is a tool for you to craft or script response template.
Interesting.
Now, what does that mean? It's a robotic and fairly rigid experience. So the bot is both the entity delivers the answer, but bot is also almost like the symbolic user experience you would envision as robotic, right? Rigid. And very often you still see some of the early generation bots experiences give you this kind of main menu-like experience, right? When you go, especially when you go off script, when the bot's asking you for certain things, but you say, never mind, I don't want to do that. I want to do the other stuff. And switch topic. And that's where things start falling up. Where Linc comes in is really representing a whole next-gen conversational AI solution. We actually had patented technology portfolio that together I would like to call it a no dialogue flow. The very conversation that's delivered through Linc's digital AI workforce is conversational, but not robotic. And it's not scripted. So that means if your business deploys the solution, you actually have far less overhead. You don't need to spend the time to craft dialogue flows. You also don't have to have human resources and expert resources in designing conversations, right? And because the early generation solutions literally is that if you don't script this, the bots are not going to do that. You don't know what to say. But in Linc's system, the digital workforce actually understand the goal. For every service that's automated through Linc's system, the digital AI workforce understand the the outcome, the ultimate goal of what a right solution looks like. We basically abstract every single to say, hey, these are a number of information I either need to collect from you, the end user, the customer I'm serving, or I need to look it up, right, through the context I have access to. And then once I have all the information, I will take certain actions for you and get things done for you. Now, in the middle of the information collection, understand what you have told me, and can I make inferences? Because beyond the spoken intent you literally have just said and provided to me, there may be unspoken intent I can infer. Things like, I want to return the sweaters I bought last week. I did not give it the digital customer service representative or human representative my order ID, but based on the information you have about me, you should know what I bought last week. You should know I only bought one cashmere sweater, which one I'm referring to. Ideally, you don't have to ask me to say, go find your order ID, copy paste it precisely to me. Otherwise, I cannot help you. So we want our digital workforce to actually have the ability to infer beyond just understand the literal information provided by the user. And then ultimately, if I have to generate a dialogue to collect that information from the user, the AI is actually generating the dialogue on the flow. And what the AI choose to generate the conversation, it depends on what is the shortest path to collect all the information needed so that I can take action on behalf of the user. So dialogue is essentially no longer rigid, no longer scripted, but it's generated with a very clear optimization goal of delivering right solution, delivering the ultimate help for the customer, and beyond, take a full advantage of understanding and inference and the context the digital workforce has access to, and only when necessary ask the customer to provide that information. Okay. So it becomes a very fluid and natural actual interaction experience through conversation.
So fascinating stuff. How much learning does each retailer need to teach the digital workforce? You've got, it's on your website. So you've got Levi's, Lamps Plus, Pure Formulas, just right off the top. And those are three radically different retailers. Lamps Plus, in lighting, wattage, electricity, apartments, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Levi's is fashion, which, is in the eye of the beholder and all that sort of stuff. How much learning does each retailer need to do to teach their digital workforce about their business?
Oh gosh, excellent question again. As a technologist, as an entrepreneur building a business to solve this problem, the day one's goal is not to just develop a solution that's tailor-made for a single customer, helping them to deliver the best results. When we look at this, we truly need to understand the nuances of the problem's complexity, that we build a solution that actually scales. And just those names and customer names you have listed kind of shows you we serve very broadly within retail verticals. And the reason we could do that is we purposed into the AI solution the expertise to learn domain or brand specific expertise. So say it again. So think of AI workforce knows how to learn from the brand specific expertise without the brands have to manually teach it use case by use case. I'll give you what do I mean by that? This is the part that becomes really interesting. So if you think about like when you, again, I use the people workforce analogy. When you interview someone coming in to take care of customer service, customer care, or like a stylist, and I have this stylist I want to fill. When I interview the candidates, I would say one candidate A, candidate B, both speak perfect English. So they say, okay, they are very communicative. They're great at communication, great personality fit for the job. But one has absolutely no idea, has never worked in retail, and no expertise in styling, style, clothing, cuts, and so on. The other candidate that may be the first time to be in interviewing for a fashion brand as a stylist, but he or she previously worked in retail and for years, that it knows how to study a catalog, product catalog, knows how to quickly pick up product knowledges by studying a catalog. So the playbook of studying or other knowledge base to quickly self-learn and become an expert for that space is there, already being mastered by the second candidate. Which candidate is better suited for this job? Certainly, it's a second candidate. So now think about what Linc provides to the brands in different verticals of retail. It's really an expert digital worker that knows how to learn, right? So the expertise may not be out day one. The digital workforce we deploy for Levi's wouldn't know the words of 511 means a particular style of jeans, right? It's not the numerical number, shouldn't be even read as 511, right? It should actually mean 511 is the style code, but also the style code means it's mid-ride, it's straight legs, and it's stretchy material, whatever the meaning of 511 style. But it did not come outright, no, this level of very brand-specific expertise. However, the digital workforce knows how to learn it if you give it a product catalog. So the moment you hook up a feed to our platform, this is the typical information brand provide to us. It's massively different than curate a script, product by product, question by question, right? Literally crabbed out. Instead, it's more about feeding it the raw knowledge source. The whole entire catalog, in fact, the catalog is changing every day, every hour. Now, the digital workforce knows how to study this massive catalog and quickly become experts. So without the Levi's team having to literally tell you, if people ask this, say this back, while the AI digital worker has no real knowledge, it just literally match intents to an answer template. Now the AI digital workforce has expertise that knowing 511 knows how to read the catalog. Through the catalog, it automatically learns that 511 is a style code. And whenever I see this style code, I see other attributes such as this is a mid-rise, the rise, the leg shapes for the jeans, and the materials for the jeans is always such. Therefore, I actually learned about what 511 style. So that learning ability is really what differentiates Linc Power digital workforce than the early generation bots. That's why we avoid to use the term bot. They have certain pre-assumptions of this very robotic and scripted experience. And then now it's truly a digital workforce that knows how to learn. And the brands want to use our solution, the requirement becomes no longer script every little micro use case, but instead is feeding it the right data. And by hooking up a few critical data feeds, the workforce knows how to mine those data feeds and stay on top of it. Because anytime it's updated, it's automatically learned, right? It's always fresh. And then delivers those expertise through a very seamless conversational experience to the customers of this brand.
So what does a retailer need from their systems to be able to take advantage of your, let's see, make sure I get that term correct, the CX automation platform?
Mm-hmm.
What do you need in place first?
As mentioned earlier, the key advance of Linc solution really representing this new generation of CX automation solution. The key difference when it manifests itself into the results is not only a better assistance experience and a more effective automated resolution, but it's also what it requires for brands to actually leverage automation effectively. The early generation solutions has a fairly high bar when it comes down to implementation requirements. Because again, everything needs to be scripted. So someone had to do those scripts, had to constantly maintain those. So you typically will see when an organization want to use automation effectively, create a good experience across use cases, they almost have to have a role called conversation designer. And that role not only just to do the early implementations during onboarding phase, they have to constantly maintain it because catalog change, use cases change, new services being launched. They constantly have to spend on those resources to even maintain the system right.
So that's a new job inside a retailer.
That's a new job inside of the retailer, and it's an expensive job. Yeah.
What are the skills for that job? Is that a technical person or is that a
That is someone typically have a great deal of technical acumen, but also have a user experience acumen. But here we're talking about Linc type of solution. It's about we don't have to require that anymore. We don't have to require a conversation designer, and you must have plus that you also have to integrate every single service resolution capability from tech stack perspective. If you want to get a return down, if you want to make sure your bot understand the customer's prior interaction context, every little connection be making data available to the bots, having the bots to be able to have ability to take action. In the earlier generation of solutions, each one is explicit in integration, requires the business side to have a mature tech stack already on their end and had to be able to expose it in forms like API, etc., to integrate with the conversation layer. So that you can script answer template to actually have a bot experience to take actions, right? So it's very expensive with earlier generation solution. Now, with Linc type of solution, one is because the vast majority of the conversation are actually orchestrated and generated by AI. So you don't have to have a dedicated resource or multiple resources just to constantly craft and maintain conversation scripts. You don't need that anymore. It's a massive relaxation in terms of a requirement, but you actually get better results. Two is that because of the solution actually have context data baked into the platform, it has ability to understand service actions, and it doesn't really require the brand side to every single use case to do nearly as much of custom integration. Most typically out of the box, our customers will see north of 85% quite essential commerce-related service use cases being automated effectively all the way to a satisfactory resolution by Linc-powered digital workforce. And only about 15% of use cases, and those tend to be highly specific for the brand, that they can, through our automation builder tool, to expand the knowledge of the digital workforce and having control and the response experience that they can craft. But the balance is very different. With alternative, you will be like, hey, really starts with very little automation. Everything has to be scripted. Now to other box, you got all the essential services across pre-purchase and post-purchase journey tackled. And then the expansion much more focused on the areas of highly brand specific use cases. And then you as a brand have controls to expand the digital workforce's expertise.
Interesting. Out 3 years, how far do you think your digital workforce will get into a retailer? Clearly, text messaging, all that. Are we going to see you get all the way out to the sales floor?
Excellent question. We are already seeing a shift in number areas, which I want to call out for Linc's growth 3 years out. I would say 3 primary axes are what we see tremendous growth. Number one is digital workforce that is truly capable in supporting global brands. Now, we're here talking about a digital workforce that speaks different languages, right? And not only speaks different languages, it knows it's truly globalized in its resolution capability. The full stack fully recognizes it's a single brand for my Germany region versus my UK region, for my US region. These are regions even have different product catalog, even have a different service policy and different customer base. How do I, as a global brand, partner with a automation solution partner that has a single solution to partner with, but able to deploy my digital workforce across the different regions, and it's fully localized to serve that region's need, right? So that's a capability of Linc today, but it's a huge growth potential axis that we're going after. And I think we're just getting the fun started, and we see more and more global brands starting with a few really digitally savvy regions to invest in automation. But when the benefit is proven, very quickly they're asking the question: how do I actually deploy this digital workforce globally? Right, that requirements is quite extensive. It's far beyond. Actually, a lot of times, okay, everyone understands you have to be able to speak the right language. Digital workforce has to be able to speak the right language, but the language piece is actually only a small slice of this whole requirement stack. So we're very excited that our solution has expanded to be able to support that. And then the growth potential in that particular access is massive. Number 2 areas of this is truly from a use case angle perspective. We look at our past 3 years growth journey has a lot to do with starting with some of the really transactional or post-transactional support issue, because those drives a lot of call center volume. It's very natural, like for business to say, gosh, I have this massive pain. I'm almost like bleeding here. Can you agree? Just stop the bleeding, making sure we can support our customer really well. And then I start going to pre-purchase. We see this very naturally to say, tackle the post-purchase transactional stuff, making sure in the case of a trouble or issue arises, we can resolve the issue very effectively to my customer. And then very quickly, the bar starts to move higher towards engagement. So not just resolving the issues anymore, it's about making good. And even solve the issue for the customer, but actually make good with the customer. But I can be very sophisticated in how we like to make good that actually take into account of the customer's credit with us. It's the loyal customer versus the first-time customer versus a customer maybe in the past has record of building our services. And we'll treat them and all the way moving towards pre-purchase assistance and more product-related question assistance and more consulting buying experience. So that angle is we see the world is seeing now the potential of what automation can do is far beyond just troubleshooting and resolving issues, and much more moving towards the equation of engagement and sales assistance. That's what you talked about. Do I really see this AI digital workforce that can sell versus just can support? And the answer is that's exactly one of the directions that of growth for us the 3 years to come. But the third one I would emphasize is kind of final, and I think it's worthy to emphasize here. It's also an angle of expanding across industries, right? So we have recently expanded from assisting just primarily B2C brands and retailers. And certainly the bulk part of the retail is that, right? B2B retail. Then we found like a macro trend that's going on is the B2B retailers are learning from B2C retailers. They found that their business buyers used to be okay to do things on paper, passing contracts, passing quotes, right, through emails, through PDFs. And it's very cumbersome and slow. But the business buyers also are evolving to be pushed by a massive trend of consumerization. And we found that there's the savviest B2B players are starting seeing themselves to take the best practice in B2C world, then coming in to completely transform their digital experience to supporting their business buyers. And most recently, we have expanded into partnering with some of the leaders in different B2B verticals, helping them to automate the whole quote request process, right? Because the whole pre-purchase is even more complex for B2B buying behavior. It's not just hey, I like something, I add to shopping cart, I transact. There's a whole quote request and negotiation process. And the product finding experience is also way more complex. Many of the cases need to take into account the quantity of the order, the lead time I afford to pay for, additional criteria that need to be taken into account to find the right product. All of those are actually areas where automation can make a massive impact to not only support the needs better and more efficiently without consuming people workforce, to actually get better results because of the availability, because of the instant access to massive amount of data, and deliver the best results, the best recommendation to the customer, and lock in that sales right there at the moment that there's a customer intent to buy. So those three axes all lead to very exciting, transformative opportunities for the broad commerce industry that we're serving. And we're just excited to be part of that and to hopefully be really the driving force and push the envelope on what the best experience is.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I literally did not have any expectation when I asked that question, but in summation, you're moving very far, very deep into literally every organization. Hey, as we wrap up, I always like to ask a couple of questions of all the entrepreneurs we have. We have a lot of folks in college kids that are listening that want to be in your shoes someday. So in wrapping up, what advice would you give young entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I have made so many mistakes. If I would reflect on my humble entrepreneur journey, I even telling the team, think this is my second baby as an entrepreneur, but first time to really take the business through true growth phase and building an enterprise-focused SaaS business. But if I would think about perhaps the standout two learning aspects I would like to share with entrepreneurs, the budding entrepreneurs, would be number one, don't be shy about asking for help. I think this is a common advice often given to entrepreneurs these days, but I would emphasize on that. So what I mean by asking for help, it's not just about getting an entrepreneur mentor, right? Or building up a network with VCs, with fellow entrepreneurs to advise you, and reach out to your potential customer, ask for help. And that's a particular angle of help I really encourage the entrepreneur to think about, especially in early days. And don't be shy to reach out for help. You can learn so much from your prospective customers. Might be you're building a B2C product or a B2B product like Linc, especially in the B2B world. You can learn so much from your enterprise customers or prospects. And then also that a fantastic relationship gets you that early cohort of early adopters and then give you an opportunity to avoid making critical product mistakes and to help you to be more successful finding that product market fit quickly. So ask for help, especially seeking out for help from your prospective customers. And the number two thing perhaps is empathy. Right. And this is really something that more recently I recognize how important that is. As an entrepreneur, we all know learning about leadership is actually really important. But I think the empathy quality is often underrated when we talk about what it takes to be a good leader. And here, when you think about empathy, not only empathy to your teammate, right, to the members on the team that reports to you, really understand how you can support them to be successful, but empathy about the pain of your customers are having. Truly invest, uncover that, and build a relationship and a rapport with your customer. You always come from the angle of customer centricity. And once you do that, you will see the magic. It's not only impacting your leadership style, the effectiveness of that leadership, it actually allows you to build a better product. I always felt I really only recently recognized the best product are the ones at the product level exhibit its empathy to the pain points of their customers. So I'll stop there. But that would be the two things I perhaps in reflection found is my humble learning potentially can be helpful for others. Jeff, I think I lost you on the sound.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
Help if I took myself off mute. So I'll delete all of that out. Two things that I heard that was really interesting. Always ask for help or ask help of potential customers, which I've never heard before from any of the other startups I've interviewed, which I couldn't agree more with. If you're trying to solve a problem, there's a reason it's a problem. It's a problem for somebody that would like a solution. So I think that's interesting. And the second thing you said that is I really want to emphasize is the idea of empathy. And I'll just tell you a quick story and you'll laugh. I was sitting at a sort of a startup, showcase. And one of the very young entrepreneurs, very smart person, got up and initially made fun of retailers at how silly they were, that they really didn't understand their own business processes. And he was here to solve that, or I shouldn't say, that person was here to solve that problem. And I'm sitting with three CIOs, all my age, and you could see the steam coming out of their ears. Now, I think it was a silly, funny line that he thought was really fun to all the young 20-something engineers. But I'm telling you, I guarantee you, those three people I was sitting with would not do an ounce of business with that person for that one silly little throwaway line. But it just sounded so disrespectful. I think that was really spot on. In wrapping up, let me ask you one last question. What skills do you use now? Do you wish you would have paid more attention to back in your college days or the early part of your career?
Okay, awesome. Question. Then I could think of so many, right? The leadership, et cetera, et cetera. But I would point out, if I put out one, I would say design thinking. Here's what I see. I think regardless you pursue a career in tech engineering or product design, or I would say design thinking is perhaps really important for all kinds of roles, because I think, right, and with design thinking, if as engineers, you can build a better product, more elegant technology. You can, again, develop a better understanding of the end user's need. And in business, with design thinking training or experiences, actually allows you to think about the whole journey of how your customer learn about your product, how they consume your product. This is not just a B2C product you directly sell to consumer. It's not just for B2B SaaS. For really any businesses, when you want to tackle go-to-market and growth, when you want to make sure you build a product that addresses to the needs, you ultimately need to think about the experiences that your, again, prospective customer will have in learning about what you can do for them. So the design thinking is much more than just able to, draw out the things and flows of charts of a product design spec, but that mindset can transit into impact you making better decisions, gaining better insights, and have keen eyes on what you otherwise may miss throughout so many different functions, engineering, entrepreneurship, and beyond. So I would say that's perhaps a singular skill set that I would emphasize. I wish I could learn that. I don't think even when I was in school, this was such a thing. But I think there is now. And I do think it is still underemphasized. There should be more design thinking training for students in any subject area, really.
Well, that's probably a good place to put a pin in it. Thank you so much, Fang, today for all that thought. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
See ya. Thanks for tuning into today's episode. For more info, refer to the pod notes below. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider giving us a 5-star rating and review. It really helps us grow. I'm your host, Jeff Roster, analyst at large. If you want to connect, follow us on Twitter at JeffPR or at Brian Sathianathan, or connect with us on LinkedIn. Visit my website at roster.retail.com or Brian's at iterate.ai. Until next time, stay safe and have a great week.